Welcome to the Low and Slow podcast.
We're your girls, Crystal and Laken. If you press play today, trust, you made the right decision.
And know whenever you're listening to this, it's exactly the right time.
We invite you to pull up a seat to the conversation, get curious about your current perspective,
and lean in for the opportunity to see yourself in another woman's story.
We created That Girl Magic because we've been where you are.
Here, the talk is real and the breath is steady.
Let's get into your next mindset shift. Welcome back to the Low and Slow podcast. It's your girls, Crystal and Laken. And today, ladies, we are here. We showed up. It has been a bit of a day, if you've ever had one of those days. And today's conversation might feel a little bit different because we're circling back on something we've talked about before, but we're giving you a different perspective or a different lens to see things through.
Yeah, we want to go deeper than just the awareness. We've talked a lot about that. And today we're going to focus a little bit more on what happens when you actually have to, or when you don't have to, when you try to make a change, right? Because a lot of us have already figured out that we're overfunctioners. I am a fellow overfunctioner. So hi, my name is Laken and I'm an overfunctioner. Welcome to the club. And there's a lot of times we get to a place, where we don't have a lot of confusion about that necessarily, but there can be a lot of confusion like in the body or how that shows up in relationship dynamics when you are working on not doing that anymore. And that's going to feel different. It's going to feel awkward. And there can be parts of that are really unfamiliar.
Yeah. So because we've talked about that survival mode and because we have talked about overfunctioning, today we're talking about this moment right here when you stop doing what you've always done and nothing feels normal anymore, right? Because this is where we're talking about like the pattern interrupt, right? Mm-hmm. And what happens when you don't just jump into doing that new thing, right? Because nothing feels normal. Nothing feels familiar. Nothing feels safe, right? So when you don't fix it, when you don't take over, when you don't over-explain, when you don't do the behavior that you have been so ingrained to normally do, why? Because that's been the shit on the carousel on repeat. And you just sit there. You just sit there and observe it and see like, oh, this is what I used to do. And this is what I'm not doing. What?
Yeah, that shit makes me itch. Like my eye will be over here twitching. Like, what do you mean? Just sit here and not do it, not jump in, not do it. Right? So let's, there's always a moment. There's always a moment that we identify as overfunctioners where we could step in. Mm-hmm. And what if you don't, right? And it's usually small, normal situations. It's not always like a big dramatic one, but it could be like a tone shift or, a pause in a conversation that feels really uncomfortable to sit with silence or someone else's perceived disappointment, right? Or like sometimes emotions that feel messy, that feel really difficult to hold is another one, right? And you can feel like it's my job to do something about that. That's very automatic and that's kind of the go-to. But, if we're always telling ourselves, okay, let me manage this or let me smooth this over or let me make it better, we have to recognize that that's a default setting, but that's also an opportunity.
Right.
For a huge rip.
Mm-hmm. Right. Where new evidence of where you can do different. And I think it's like, can we just normalize it's like, okay, you just sit there and you're like, I know I can do something, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm choosing intentionally not to, right? And that moment feels really loud and it physically feels uncomfortable. Like you got the twinge, I have that like little twitching, right? And it's in that moment where you can also, and you don't realize it in the moment, but when you zoom out, it's like, gosh, this is my opportunity where I get to give myself new evidence, where I get to be my new evidence because I'm intentionally choosing to not do what I've already done.
Yeah, because your whole body's screaming in that moment. You're like, say something, fix it or do something, right? And it's like you can feel the urgency, like that taking action will give you the safety that you're looking for in that moment, right? But the overfunctioning isn't just a OCD behavior, right? A lot of times it will feel that way, like this compulsion, but it's really like your nervous system is trying to get relief in that moment.
Mm-hmm. Right. And this is where we've talked about, like, remember a couple episodes ago, the radical practice of doing absolutely fucking nothing? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that in that moment, that's the piece, right? This is what we talk about, the messy in between. That's the piece when this comes up and you don't do what you normally did and your nervous system is asking you for safety. Safety is the old shit that you used to do because it's familiar, but right now is your opportunity to create new safety, new evidence. And maybe that just looks like we've said, staying with yourself through those uncomfortable feelings. Not saying anything, just really feeling it. And yeah, you may have a physical response to it, and that's okay. Like the thoughts probably to follow are going to come in very quickly, right? Because that inner dialogue that we talk about, it's going to, your nervous system has one main job, to protect you. And so when we're not doing the thing that we have been, known to give us safety, that's when the mind's going to try and override, because what the body's saying is like, body's like, hey, I'm unsafe, do something. And the mind's like, I got you. But the mind's with all the old shit, right? The mind is saying like this is going to fall apart, or you should have just handled it. Like if you would have done it, it would have been okay. Right. Or maybe because you didn't say something, they're going to think that you didn't care. Right. It's going to start spinning all these wheels.
Yeah, or that self-blame comes in a lot. It's like, oh, this is your fault now because you didn't do anything to fix it. And I want to slow that down because that will really keep you trapped in inaction. This thought of like, if I don't intervene, then I'm responsible for what happens next. And not that's not like this intuitive hit where it's like, oh, I need to do something, right? It's like that's usually conditioned over time, and that is something that you learned somewhere along the way, that everybody else's peace was your job. Everybody always, we hear that from women all the time, like, oh, I just need to keep the peace, or I don't want to cause any problems, or I don't want to make any waves. I just want this peace. But that peace isn't happening. And either way, right? And then you're making it into your own personal failure.
Right. And it's damn sure not happening within yourself. When your body and those alarms are going off and then the mind's going off, can we just sit with the body, even just with our own hands, just like staying with ourselves, going back to the breath? I had a client ask me this today. It's like, okay, well, what do I do with myself when I then do different and I'm uncomfortable as hell? It's like, okay, well, what are some things we can do? We can start to write down some of these thoughts, right? Not just think them, write them down. We can use our own physical hands, put them on our body, like talk to our body. Hey, I tell it what you're experiencing. I get you're experiencing this, right? We can breathe. We can slow down, right? It's this reality check that's coming in that's basically saying like, who you were before, the fixer, the person who's just going to take it on as theirs, right? Here's what's wild about that is that when you stick with yourself through not doing those old patterns, most of the time, actually nothing fucking happens. Right?
Yeah. Or if something does happen, you have to take the space for yourself to realize like it's not necessarily yours to manage. And this is where like your brain's going to argue with you because there's a lot of social reward or cultural bias of being the one that handles it, right? Always being the one that takes care of it. Like I'm sure you've probably been called like mature or reliable or like the strong one or like, oh, like they're the glue that holds our family together, right? So it's like when you step in, it can feel like you're doing something really valuable.
Right. It's giving save the day energy, right? But in saving the day for everyone else, you're going further from the day that you actually want. It's like I'm having to adopt these identities, the fixer, the martyr, the overfunctioner, no.
Well, you're also not letting other people have their own experience.
Correct.
Right. It's Control. Like if I have to be the curator and the director of everything and stuff can't unfold without me getting involved, then that creates a skewed environment also.
Right. It's this moment where you can step out of like being the participant in it and actually be like the main character of like, I'm not worrying about what's happening outside of me in this game. I'm only worrying about what's happening within me, within my game. Because then I don't have to absorb everything else. And that's what I mean by nothing happens. Of like, you stayed with yourself through that. What happened within you? Oh, I just was uncomfortable. What?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Okay. Oh, I'm just so uncomfortable. Okay. Take that in as information. The discomfort isn't the actual situation. And here's where we flip it, right? The discomfort you're feeling is not about actually what happened in the conversation, in the, thing that went wrong that day. It's about the pattern that you just interrupted. And this is something where when you recognize that you do that and nothing happens, it's like, okay, the pattern that you interrupted, something did happen, but it's not that shiny reward or that feedback from other people that is celebrated. But this is where you can recognize that. It's like, what do we build awareness for if we're not going to recognize that when we have the awareness, it then brings choice, right? And I gave my client last week an analogy of like the gas is the gas is the decision and the brake is the discernment, right? So like when something happens and we're sticking with ourselves in that uncomfortable thing, we have a little bit of discernment here of like, am I going to step in? If I'm not going to step in, great. That was the choice, right? I'm not going to hit the gas here. We're used to always just hitting the gas and then we decide and we decide and we decide. But when we can actually hit the brake and say, what is this? Discern what's best for me. Then we can go back to, oh, okay, well, I don't have to hit the gas here. And the decision is I just decided to do nothing, and that's okay.
Yeah. Like the discomfort itself is the withdrawal from the addiction that you are used to getting, yes. Right? Like the overfunctioning is that quick fix for your system that's used to feeling in control. It's all about the control. So when you don't do it, your body's responding like, wait, where's that relief that we're hoping for from taking control of the situation? And that's why it feels so big, even when the moment itself or the situation itself can be something that's really small.
Yeah. Yeah. And, this is also something to note here is like, that's what I mean about like the game, right? Like, are you the main character in this game, right? You're not used to watching life just happen around you, right? It's like, you're just witnessing something that without having to insert yourself into it. And that's what's new, right? Like,
yeah, because you're used to controlling all the outcomes. You're telling yourself like, oh, if I don't do it, nobody's going to do it, right? If I don't do it, it's not going to get done right. So when you don't, it feels like there's something wrong. And it's like you get this feeling like you're being irresponsible almost, or that you're being cold or indifferent. Like, oh, well, if I'm not involved, then that means that I don't care enough. And that's also probably, side note, that's probably something that you've been told by your mother at some point and that she was told by her mother, right? Just looping that in. But it's like you're actually practicing something that most women were never taught, which is like witnessing without rescuing and being present without having to perform. Like that's something that we don't practice intentionally enough, and letting people solve their own discomfort without you having to jump in and be like the emotional, officer all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, you are not just the character, like you're the player. You're recognizing like your part in this and what's operating for you. And the change that happens is when the game rearranges itself around you, meaning like you're just in your field here, right? Only worrying about what's operating for you, and everyone else is having their own experience. I want to something you said just right before this. I had something and I don't know, it left me. But in that moment, I want you to think back to like give maybe a personal reflection of this, because when you were saying about, like not having to be what word did you use? Like the supervisor or like the one who's managing the thing, like can give an example for yourself, and I'll give one too, of where, just maybe within a family dynamic or within relationship or within, a friendship or within anywhere where you have found yourself, like, which one do you normally find yourself falling into? And like, give an example of what you did different to break it.
Which one of what?
like a pattern where you interrupted it and then you decided to not do different. I mean, just
Oh, yeah.
different.
Well, I mean, it was very conditioned in me to have control over the situation. Like, I'm the oldest of five, and I was, in charge of making sure that everything was done the way that it was supposed to be around the house. Like, I'm like running the house, right? So, growing up and how that played out in dynamics, moving forward, either with my family or outside of my family, even with roommates, like in college, right? I would get really upregulated really easy because it was, if things weren't operating in a certain way, or if, heaven forbid we didn't get the trash out on trash day, or like if this, if the sink wasn't empty, then it's like it meant all this, it meant chaos for me, right? Which felt really unmanageable, especially with the stress of going to school full time, working, trying to pay my way through school. And so it was like this compound effect. Not until later did I have the tools or even the language to recognize, oh, other people may not necessarily do things the same way that I do, and that's okay. And me stressing about the way that they're doing it, even though we're sharing a living environment, doesn't make it any better for either one of us. And so if I can just take a pause and recognize, okay, well, the dishes are going to get done at some point when they get done. And even if the other person doesn't do them in the timeline that I like or the way that I like to do them, I can also recognize that if I do them, I'm doing it for me. I'm doing it because I want that outcome. I'm not a martyr that's doing it for them. I'm not someone that's, being punished or taken advantage of. It's just something that makes me feel better. And so if I'm choosing to do it, then I'm doing it for me, or I can sit with the discomfort of allowing it to just be in place because someone else's experience is different than mine, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And, in that example, it's like environment is a huge thing, right? That affects your nervous system, where it's whenever you're coexisting, co-regulating, co-living, like with anyone else, right? It's like, that's two different nervous systems that are there. And like, it's interesting to hear you even just say like chaos, right? Everyone's inner chaos is going to look different, and environment plays a role I mean, if we say all the time, like our mind responds to the environment our body responds to the environment that our mind creates. Same thing like with our living space, right? That's huge. I would say a time like when that happens is like, I've noticed a lot with, dynamics of between me and my mom, or even like with my sisters, or when they were having, things between them. And, naturally, yes, oldest of three girls. And, it is a tumultuous, like, family dynamic and relationship that happened and played out, but it was always that feeling of like I had to step in. I think we talked about this on after the holidays, where it's like I was back in an environment, a first time being back in Jersey for Christmas, and there was the dynamic that was happening among my cousin, her son, and then me and my mom. And we were coming in on their space, right? They were having, their first Christmas without their dad and her husband. And, it was just interesting to be able to see where I would have normally stepped in, where I would have normally tried to make sure everyone was okay. What did I need to do, right? Did I need to, make sure everything was handled? Did I need to, cook all the food? Did I need to, make sure like everyone was good at the expense of myself, just to be able to be in an environment where I could feel comfortable? And it was at that time where I did not do that. And it was like, okay, well, whatever's happening around me, even if there's chaos, even if things are going to shit, even if, maybe it's not the ideal Christmas that I wanted, but I was so proud because I decided to do different. I didn't absorb what was happening around me. And I think even using that language is important, because so often women, we do absorb what's around us, or we can, right? And that is where, like, gosh, we build all this fucking awareness. Can we see that the awareness gives us choice? The awareness gives us the opportunity to choose different and ultimately choose ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to make some of these moments that we just shared, each of us shared one of our own. We want to make some of these moments real, right? Where can this show up in the day to day? This looks like maybe not answering immediately, right? When something comes through, I don't have to get back right away, right? It's like we're constantly overwhelmed by all these fucking notifications. Can not answer right away. Not fixing someone else's mood, right? That's something we are learned. We learn this in childhood because that is the thing. If I can anticipate how a parent or someone else was feeling, I can then be safe, right? I can then know what I need to do. Not over explaining yourself, right? Being able to just say the thing and then being quiet. Like that one's hard for me. That one's really hard for me. Letting someone misunderstand you.
Yeah, that one's a big one. Letting someone misunderstand you is next level, because for a lot of us, being misunderstood feels really unsafe.
An
Like,
attack.
yeah, well, your body's going to read it as rejection, right? So when you try to correct it or, clarify it or clean it up or like explain what's happening, but the over explaining is often you just trying to regain control of the way that you're being perceived in that situation. And it's like, if I can just allow myself to be misunderstood, and this is like not forever and not like in an abusive situation, but like in everyday moments where people are maybe like projecting or assuming or things like that, right? It's like, it helps me to realize that I don't have to chase approval to be safe. And also I'm so solid in myself and who I am that it's okay if other people misunderstand, because I'm not misunderstanding myself.
Right. Exactly. Right. And when you can even come from a place of, it's conviction that, yeah, I said what I said kind of thing. And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The over explaining where that even lives is because, like you said, it's like, I am trying to, I am actually saying what I think I need to say in order for me to feel safe, but that is actually then to the other person really highlighting that it's like, oh, like it's not that deep. Like, okay, like whatever it is whatever you said it was, right? But it's actually saying more about you when you choose to over explain. So this is where sometimes we've talked about where the identity cracks, right? Because when you're choosing different, when you have this awareness, when you're interrupting the patterns, a lot of those patterns are tied to the identity that you've built. So who are you if you're not the one who fixes it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Who are you if you're not the one that makes it all better? Who are you? Like, what's your role, right? What are you here for? In this relationship or in this family or in this job title.
Yeah, and there's grief associated with that. Like, you have to grieve the loss of that identity, because for many of us, right, you may have built your whole identity around being needed. And when you stop over functioning, you can temporarily feel like pointless, right? Or like purposeless or guilty. And if you feel like you're failing at being, like a good daughter, mother, friend, partner, leader, whatever it is, but really like you're possibly just meeting the version of yourself that exists without constantly having to prove yourself, like that's creating more space for you.
Yeah. And it's in being able to not be needed when you actually find out what you need for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like, gosh, I can separate myself, and in that grieving process, separate what I thought I needed to be. Like, can I thank that version of me that got me here? But like, I can actually separate of like, do I even want to be those? This came up with my client this week. They were doing let-offs at work, and that included her, and she had to like draft her own, because she's in HR, she had to draft her own like terms, agreements, or whatever to let her go. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
in the thick of it, why did this happen to me? Right? Like, I've been here for, for so long, and this, and I'd like the job and all the things. And there's that pattern that came up of like, I am being told I'm being let go, but then I'm needing to put together all the paperwork, send it to myself, and also sit with that and with the weight of, I know this affects other people's livelihood. And in that, it was like, well, let me know what you need me to help with. but in reality, right? Because that's where it's like she finds her value in being able to help. Even though it's a fucked situation, right? It's like I'm where can I still be of value here? Because that's what I know. That's what I do. That's my job. That's my identity. That's what I've built here. And when we worked, what happened to be able to have her look back and be able to say like, there were some things that I was so consumed by that this happened to me that I was missing, that over the 3 years, things have really changed. And do I want to be a part of a company that, you know, operates, I'm not going to go into the details, but operates in that way, right? Is this even what I want? This company had more work-life balance than the last company that I was with, but is it actually giving me what I need? Because I'm giving the company what it needs, but is it giving me what I need? So it's like this identity shift or crack that happens. And when this happens, it's not in the moment, it feels like it's a bad thing, or that it's hard, or that it's like, God, like, who the fuck am I kind of thing. But it's actually, it's beautiful, because it's like on the other side of that crack is is the reflection back of who you've been wanting to be. And maybe that you haven't been allowing yourself to be.
Yeah. And getting there is not
easy.
Not an unbumpy road, right? Like, all right, becoming the version of yourself that exists without providing or proving or being the one that's helping, or, you know, being the go-to all the time. Like people are going to notice that more than likely when you have that shift, right? Because if you change any pattern, the system that pattern is in is going to respond, right? So if someone is used to you managing emotions, then silence can feel like abandonment to them, right? And it's not because you're doing something wrong, but it's because if someone was previously benefiting from your overfunctioning, they are going to recognize where that is now lacking. And it's very possible that could be projected onto you as something that, well, you're not doing this anymore, right? Or like, you used to do this, or, you know, things have changed.
Yeah, I mean, that's the realest thing. And that is probably what you'll hear. But this is where it's like, it's so exciting. I want to like, let me validate that. Yes, it's not going to seem like that at first, but when you can see this through a different lens, when you can even look back on this time and see that, gosh, I am handling things differently. And it's actually in a way that actually works for me instead of everyone else. And so everyone else reacting is because they're reacting to a previous version of you that quite literally you are no longer. And that is scary, right? But it's like, it's also on the other side of like jumping into that next version of yourself of who you are without over functioning. It's like, God, I get to have so much more purpose than what I thought was of so much value. It's like, it actually has you start to question the things that you value, right? I think 2020 was a huge thing with this, within COVID, of like questioning of like, yeah, I have this job. Yeah, we have, you know, all this stuff. But when things really slow down of like, what am I actually valuing we had so much free time at home. Like we got into hobbies we hadn't done before, like in forever. We were spending more time with family. We were outside more, you know, all of these things of it. Work-life balance became more it's a need, first of all, but more a part of the conversation because it had just been this way for so long until something came in and disrupted it. And that's what I mean. Like when you step into that when that crack comes and people react, like there may be some pushback, right? There may be those shifts that are happening and those mirrors back to you of who you used to be. But it actually is like a beautiful space and opportunity to make sure the person that you are then becoming after that is actually who you want to be.
Yeah, I mean, that pushback could look like, you know, people asking, are you okay? Or did I do something wrong? Or, you know, why, like I said, why are you being different? And what's tricky is those questions are going to make you want to resume that responsibility. Like it's your job to reassure or soothe or explain or correct what feels like a problem. But sometimes the most loving thing that you can do is just to let people feel their own discomfort. Of your new boundary, right? And you don't have to make your growth comfortable for everyone.
That's a bar, right? Or even that subtle guilt right? That guilt that
Mm-hmm.
comes up is like, ultimately it's there slightly because yeah, that was a previous version of you, but what is coming up for someone else by you stepping into your magic, you stepping into your next level of self is like, can you stay with yourself there? Because it's when you're looking elsewhere of what is maybe being mirrored back to you or being said back to you that it, like, don't allow that to water that down. Like, this is the hard work and you're doing it, right? You're not fixing, you're not over explaining, but you're staying with yourself. You're staying anyway. You're giving yourself the opportunity to meet yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like staying with that discomfort or staying with that silence or like the, the compulsions that come up, those urges, like the old version of you would sprint back into control and like to make the feeling go away. But the new version, that's the intentional practice is like, oh, I can tolerate this. Like I can sit with this. I can hold this. Like the regulation is where that power is. And that's ultimately where all that self-trust can come in because I'm keeping that promise to myself.
Mm-hmm. The session I just had before we recorded, I said, who are you when you get to put this down? And she said, what did we translate it to? It was basically like, how do I get to hold this different?
Mm-hmm.
Right? How do I get to hold this different so that I can meet who I am when I no longer am carrying it? Right. And, in teaching yourself this new way of being, there's that feeling of like, we don't have to jump in anymore. We don't have to fix everything, right? Because you're actually learning a new skill that is required for you to step in and shift to who you want to be. It's like, oh, I didn't step in and actually I'm okay. Everything's
Yeah, because the body's gonna respond, right? Like there's gonna be restlessness, there's gonna be anxiousness, there's gonna be uncomfortable. Like it's gonna feel really uncomfortable. But this is what happens when we teach it something new. So yeah, it's going to feel rough, but it's like just reminding yourself, just like when you learn to ride a bike, right? Like you're gonna fall. It's gonna feel not great all the time, but that's the idea of practice.
yeah,
And when you have that shift, like that's the moment that you can start building the evidence. It's not just telling yourself like, oh, like I believe I'm safe, right? It's like this is real evidence that you have to feel because your body is learning it. You're relearning this process. And every time that you don't rescue or you don't come in and overmanage or you don't come in and fix a thing that feels like it needs your attention, right? It's like you have to recognize, this is where we talk about like celebrating the wins or, just acknowledging the fact that nothing catastrophic happened. And that's when that pattern starts to loosen the reins on you a little bit.
yeah. And this isn't about becoming passive to things. Like, I want to make sure that
Mm-hmm.
this is very clear. It's not about becoming passive. This is about becoming intentional with when you purposely choose to not do something. I don't mean passive, ignore all your responsibilities, don't set them, I don't mean that. I mean,
Yeah.
intentionally decide to do something different, to use your gas pedal in a way that actually works for you rather than against you, because you've given yourself the chance to discern of like, who really am I doing this for? Right. And that because it's new, it's a muscle. It's something you have to build. It's something you have to practice. It's something that I like think about like football players. Like, you gotta watch film on yourself. Like, I gotta run these
Yeah.
different things back of like when I have like, can I have a reference point of when, holidays are a really good one. Like I brought up earlier, like, well, the previous Christmas I did this and it was this. And then this Christmas I did this. And actually that felt better for me, even though it went this way. Right. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, can we just give ourselves these mile markers and these new reference points about times where we have intentionally chose? Because if we have all this awareness and we don't choose different, it's a merry-go-round. It's cyclical. It's still happening. And the patterns are
Yeah.
not going to go away. You just get to meet them differently. And that's the intentional action.
Yeah. And I think, I've talked about this before of like authenticity versus obligation, right? And I think that this is a really key place where this can show up. Like the difference of like I'm helping because I genuinely want to versus I'm helping because I can't tolerate the feeling of not being needed, right? Like that's a huge distinction. And one is coming from a place of authenticity and one is coming from a place of obligation. And when you come from authenticity, that's shit is sustainable forever, right? It's like I can keep showing up this way because I'm coming from a place of feeling filled up and I have so much that I want to genuinely give to other people as opposed to, I have to come in and fix it all the time. Like it's going to get fucked up if I don't take care of it. Like when I come from that place of obligation, like that feels oppressive and it feels like pressure and it feels like draining to me.
Yeah. It's depleting, right? The other one is it's fulfillment, right? It's fulfilling. It's filling you back up. Why? Because you've given yourself what you need. So,
so that's where like that power is, right? It's like, it's not, we think that we have this misinterpretation that the power is in doing more. Like if I do all the things, then I hold the power because I have control over the situation. But the power is actually in choosing when to move and when not to. Like it's choosing, I get to decide where my energy goes. I get to have a clean yes, right? And it's not something that feels constrictive in my body or in my nervous system. It's like realizing that I don't have to overextend to belong. Like I'm not going to be rejected if I don't constantly overextend. And guess what? If you are rejected because you are not overextending yourself, those are not your people, right? And a lot of times when women get to this place, it's the first time that they recognize that there is freedom in that experience and they haven't felt that before. And that can feel scary sometimes too. But it's just this realization that like, I don't have to manage everyone else's experience anymore.
Yeah. And when you start to do that, even if those people are not for you, right? They always say it's like you can't buy a new car if you still got the junk one in the driveway. Like you got to create room, and they had to leave so that you can be how you are, and then you will start to attract, right? This is how I felt really about Within Lifted, right? It's like I had separated from different groups and things that I had been in. And it was like, it was lonely for a minute, but then it's like with this work that you're doing in yourself, then it's being able to find people who are also doing that work. And it's so fulfilling when it's like, God, I got the chance to just be, to just exist. And that was enough to just, and have people be inherently just interested in who the fuck I actually am because I'm showing up as that. Right. And so if you're in this space right now where you're trying not to overfunction and you're talking to two of the most overfunctioners ever. Okay. And it feels uncomfortable. Good. Okay. We're happy that it feels uncomfortable for you because you're doing it. If it didn't feel uncomfortable, this wouldn't be any different. So the fact that it feels uncomfortable, can we just normalize that everything that is good for us doesn't always feel comfortable? It's actually the opposite. And if it feels uncomfortable, this is not that everything's going to shit. This is that you're choosing different and you're doing it. Specifically with these women in this program of like, you're doing it. And until they realize that, it's like, wait a second, I am doing it. Like, fuck, like I had to catch it. Like, oh, I did. Like, I've had so many wins with clients this week of like, I have one girl, she's fucking almost 20 days completely sugar free and went to her other house that's in Maine and all the things. And, there's so many things around her. And it's like, she gave herself for the first time evidence of like, I did different and I'm okay. And like, here we are and I'm on my way to day 30. And then, I can decide what I want to do from there. But she's like, she's in the place that's uncomfortable. And it's like, girl, you're actually doing it. And for her to be able to recognize that is like, gosh, just, it's special because it's not about me telling her. It's about her. She knows, like she's telling her. Like, I have never gone to Maine and had an experience like this. And that's a turning point. So if you're in this space right now, know that you're not losing control, right? You're just learning how to not need it. You're learning actually what you need, not what you thought you needed in order to be safe, which is the control. And if you know an overfunctioner, please share this episode with her.
We all know an overfunctioner, so you better share this episode with somebody because everybody knows the woman that's holding it all together for everybody else. And if you are one, I guarantee you know one because we be running together. So make sure that you share it with somebody. Please make sure that you rate and review and subscribe. We really appreciate it. It costs you nothing and it means everything to us. So please, please, please do that.
We read all the reviews, so please keep writing them. And if you're a YouTube listener, I would love, it makes me so happy when we see either comments or likes or just we want to know that this is something's hitting for you. And we're just happy to have you a part of the conversation. So thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
See you next time.
Bye.
When was the last time you felt truly clear and at peace?
Maybe you've been asking yourself, why can't I just feel peace?
Most of us don't just need another escape. Vacation is great and all, but what we really need is integration.
When's the last time you gave yourself permission to play? As adults, we don't do that enough. And this is to be messy, curious, maybe even a little wild, like the little girl you used to be. She's still here. She's just waiting for you to say it's safe to come out again.
That's why we created Peace, Play, Love. For 7 days in the Costa Rican jungle, luxury meets real life with story work, somatic practices, and nervous system tools that help you not just reset here, but take that peace home with you.
I've been bringing women to Costa Rica for years because this land and the people have been a part of my own healing journey. And all of us have left transformed for the better.
At Peace, Play, Love, we'll slow down together, we'll breathe, we'll meet the guilt, the shame, the exhaustion, and learn how to alchemize them into permission, into softness, into peace that you can actually feel in your body.
This retreat is deeper than a pause. We're not just unplugging you, we are rewiring you.
I've witnessed these women laugh from the depths of their souls, feel reconnected to who they truly are, tear up from actually taking in a sunset and watching as their shame, their stress, and fears all float off into the great beyond.
You'll map your next season with clarity and leave with insight to keep your nervous system regulated and your choices aligned long after you return. We keep it small on purpose, just 9 women, each supported through high-touch coaching, sisterhood, and real community.
The women who come, they're do-it-allers. They show up no matter what. They climb the mountain with the weight of the world on their back and a smile on their face, because that's just what they do. But they're looking at this next chapter of their life, and they know that they don't want it to feel like the last 5 did.
You don't have to hold it all anymore. You don't have to keep proving you're okay. This retreat is your safe place to land, and it's your invitation to play again.
There's something magical in this land that helps you find the magic in you. The light turns on, the weight lightens, and from there, you decide what the next chapter will be and who you will be inside of that on your terms. This is the magic of saying yes to you.
If you're craving calm and clarity that sticks, this is your invitation to join us in Costa Rica in June. Come exhale with us and remember who you are beneath the noise.